Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Makers Intent. I am your host, Mike Downer, and today I am joined once again by Kyle Greenfield, the president of AF Johnson Millwork. How are we doing today, Kyle?
Doing great, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So, we were talking about this. This should be kind of a fun episode. This is the one where we get to talk about some fun stuff, and it's how does AF Johnson maintain quality in retail rollouts? So, the main question I have for you, Kyle, is how do you maintain a tight tolerance across hundreds of identical fixtures?
It's a good question, Mike. A lot of it has to do with the really cool toys that we've got to talk about before, mainly the CNC router, and the fact that we program everything in and use that to do probably 95% of our cutting. So once we come up with the end product that the customer is happy with and excited about, we can hit repeat over and over and over as many times as we need on that. And it really comes down to then just the consistency of the wood that we're using for it, or the wood product that we're using for it, or whatever it is, which most of those have very tight tolerances on too.
Yeah. So, when you're talking about, making a lot of things over and over, what makes large retail rollouts so challenging, even though hundreds of locations need identical fixtures and millwork?
Well, the biggest challenges are a lot of those retail type places want the exact same experience from all over the coast to coast, and that makes sense. However, the conditions aren't the same from coast to coast. So depending what type of humidity you're in and what type of environment you're in, how hot it is, how cold it is, all those things are greatly going to affect it. And then also shipping, we're located in the middle of the United States, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's not so good as far as what happens to the product en route.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I know when you're talking about conditions, and even though you say one type of wood takes, humidity better or dry heat better, like Arizona compared to Mississippi or something like that, trying to make all that stuff look consistent probably is a challenge.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this time of the year, we have to take into account even what type of glues and things like that we use. Had a job a few years ago that shipped to Phoenix, and they weren't quite ready for it, so they let it sit in a trailer in Phoenix for 2 weeks in the middle of summer. And when they pulled it out, all the edging had fallen off. Just flat out fell off.
Glue melts.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you, how did CNC technology eliminate some of the inconsistencies that come with hand cutting components?
Well, no matter how good we are with our hands, if you're taking like a giant 10-foot by 5-foot wide sheet and running it along a table saw, it's going to move slightly. It's just really hard to get straight. When we set that sheet on the CNC, it's the cutting head that's moving as opposed to the sheet itself. So that is stationary and just waiting for the cutting instrument to come by. It just becomes way cleaner and way tighter and doesn't have human error to it.
Oh, that makes sense. What does CNC stand for?
That's a great question. The full machine's a CNC router. A lot of people would just call them a router, but I should probably brush up on that. I know I've been told before, Mike, but just don't remember.
Hey, no big deal. I was just curious because I know nothing about it, and I was just kind of curious. But yeah, that sounds like, I know that when I'm cutting anything on any kind of saw that I have at my house, because I have very standard home equipment, there is zero consistency. So
it's really hard to do.
Does it?
Even the people that do it every single day in our plant, it's really hard when you got the human element involved. That's why we try our best to take that out.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So what quality control processes does AF Johnson use for material selection throughout final inspection?
So a lot of times the specifications are going to come. AWI is kind of the governing body, if you will, for a lot of wood products, and coming from a designer or architect, they're going to specify what level of AWI, all the way up to their top tiers. And so that the wood products, especially when it's some type of pressed board, is going to be manufactured based on their tolerances. And then when it gets to us, how tight the cuts are going to be, what types of glue you can use to put it together, dowel screws, things like that, are all set in those standards. So everybody should be on the same rule book, if you will, across the country. Then it's just a matter of making sure that you can build to those standards. And some shops can far exceed them, and some shops probably struggle with them a little bit, but we're real proud that we can maintain exceedingly high standards and never really a problem with that.
Well, that's awesome. So what is the difference between standard manufacturing tolerances and the tolerances required for a retail perfect rollout?
Well, so the retail is going to want everything to be the exact same. As we talked about earlier, they want to duplicate their experience for their customer in every location. They want that as close to identical as they can, from coast to coast. So when you walk into it, you understand it, you feel it, feels comfortable, feels like you've been in there before. So our job is to make sure that we can build that point of sale item or whatever we're building for them to look the exact same, no matter which location it's going to.
So in discussing this, and I know that going coast to coast and multiple locations can be a challenge. How do you guys maintain material consistency across large production runs in multiple locations?
A lot of that has to do with inspecting it as we're before we even start building it. So especially when we're using hardwoods, they're just going to naturally vary. So a lot of times we'll have to bring in a lot more than we plan on using. If we're going to do a run of 50, we might have to bring in 70 or 80 pieces or sheets, what have you, to get enough that are consistent in the same, and match enough that they all look the same. Otherwise, you could have a couple pieces that are twisted or overly grainy or have too many knots in it, something like that, and it's just going to look too far off and or cause too many problems down the line. Especially with real hardwoods, we can make a cut and have it just dead on and come back the next day and it'll have twisted itself, and just not much you can do. So then just remake it and start again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I know that you're rolling out large productions for lots of different companies. What logistics and shipping strategies help prevent damage during nationwide retail installation?
Well, we like to make sure that we over package. We got to protect the corners and tops on everything. They're going to take the most abuse. And if we can, we're not going to ship anything on a LTL carrier, less than a load carrier. We prefer to get the size where we can have a dedicated truck, but that's not always possible. When it's a dedicated truck, then we know exactly what's in it, and the chance of it getting smashed into is a little bit less. When it's a less than a load shipping, we can't control what's going to be on that. The shipper does. And we've had a lot more instances than, so if we're real worried about that, we're going to build a big old crate around whatever we're shipping, and a little bit more cost to it. But we can guarantee them what the contents are going to be like when they arrive at the location.
Well, that, and probably with all your years of experience, I'm sure that for the most part, when possible, using the same shippers, that do a good job for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very important thing too.
So, what separates a shop that can build one great piece from a shop that can produce 500 identical pieces?
A lot of times that is more just understanding the production and the scheduling. Some guys that create one of one are true artists. There's some unbelievable builders that can produce one of one, and it's true artwork in my opinion. They don't necessarily understand how to keep up with production. So a lot of these retailers, they want their rollouts to come all in a reasonable amount of time, as quick as they can go do the build outs in their different locations.
Yep.
And it's extremely important to them to be open on time and ready to go for their customers. So for us, it is a lot of logistics and planning. If we know we have to ship 50 of something in 2 months, the process is working backwards to know how many we have to produce today, tomorrow, and going forward in order to be able to ship them all on time.
Oh, that makes sense, because especially when you're looking at the customer's aspect of it, time is money. So
Exactly.
yeah, and so no, that makes perfect sense. So we can wind this one up, and this is actually kind of your favorite time. So tell me this: could you share a retail rollout project that demonstrates the scale, precision, and coordination required for success?
Sure. We there was a project for a great big national company that I've got a couple NDAs on, so I can't really share their name, but it's a big
Sure.
one that everybody's heard of. And this was just a single one-off display piece for a big convention that they were doing, and it was a big project. It took quite a while, big truckload to get it down to them, and they said it never showed up. What do you mean it never showed up? It left here somehow, some way. The truck just lost everything in it during shipment, and we said, well, it's got to be on site. And we looked and looked and couldn't find it, so ended up taking what was about a month-long build to do in about a week and build a whole nother set of them, and got it out on time, made the deadline that they had. They were incredibly happy. And then about 2 weeks later, they did find the first shipment at the location. So they ended up with 2 sets of the product that we built on that one.
Perfect. We'll let that be the end of that story, because I'm sure there's a little more to it with that smile you got going. So
Yeah.
well, Kyle, thank you again. You're teaching us a lot about the retail aspect of this, and kind of what all goes into it, and kind of what you need to look for when you're looking for a millwork company. So again, thanks for joining me. I know that you got a busy schedule, and I thank you for taking time out of your day to help educate the rest of us on your business.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, thanks a lot. I look forward to our next